की जय। नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much for joining today. So today is Utpanna Ekadasi, and very auspicious Ekadashi, because one of the reasons very auspicious for us especially is because it's a day that Guru Maharaj himself took initiation from his Guru, Param Guru Maharaj, many years ago, 50 or must be more than 50 now, 54, 55 years back, long time back. So I thought we'd read the Ekadasi Katha, and then maybe just go a little bit into why we fast on Ekadashi. The glories of Utpanna Ekadashi are described in Bhavishottama Uttara Bhavishottara Puran in a conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjun. Normally the conversation is between Yudhishthir and Sri Krishna, but on this occasion is with Arjun. Sri Sutta Goswami said to the assembled Brahmins and sages, if a person with faith and devotion duly follows or hears about the glories, the rules and regulations of observing Ekadashi as described by Lord Krishna, then he will attain happiness in this life and will return to the abode of Lord Vishnu in the next life. Once Arjun asked Shri Krishna, O Janardhan, please explain to me what the benefit is of total fasting, eating only at night or eating once at midday on Ekadasi. In reply to this, Lord Shri Krishna said, O Arjun, in the beginning of autumn, on the Ekadashi that occurs during the waning moon in the month of November, December, a person should begin observing the vow of Ekadashi. So this is like the first Ekadashi that one ideally should start the Ekadashi Vrats from. At midday, he should purify himself by taking a bath. At the time of taking bath, he should pray as follows. O Ashvakrante, O Rathakrante, O Vishnukrante, O Vasundhare, Om Mritike, O Mother Earth. Please destroy all my sinful reactions accumulated from previous lifetimes so that I can attain the supreme destination. After completing his bath, he should worship Lord Govinda. Once Indra, the king of heaven, surrounded by demigods. So this is Lord Krishna giving this pastime. Approached the Supreme Lord and prayed to him as follows. O Lord of the universe, O Supreme Personality of God, we offer our respectful obeisances to you. You are the supreme shelter, the mother and father of everyone. You create, maintain, and destroy everyone. You are the benefactors of the earth, the sky, and the entire creation. You yourself are Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva. You are the Lord and enjoyer of all kinds of sacrifices, austerities, hymns, and their performers. There is no object within the three animate and inanimate worlds which is not owned and controlled by you, O Lord. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Master of the demigods, O Protector of the surrendered souls, O Supreme Mystic. The demigods have been deprived of their heavenly kingdom and have been driven out by the demons. They have fearfully surrendered to your lotus feet. Please protect them, O Lord of the universe. We have fallen from the heavenly planets into this earthly planet and have merged into the ocean of miseries. Kindly be pleased with us. On hearing such a pathetic prayer from Indra, Lord Vishnu asked him, who is this invincible demon who has defeated even the demigods? What is his name? What is the source of his prowess, O Indra? Please explain to me everything in detail without any fear. Indra replied, O Lord of the demigods, O deliverer of the devotees, O Supreme Lord, a fierce demon named Nadi Janga, who first caused distress to the demigods, appeared in the family of a Brahmin. He had an equally powerful, infamous demon son called Mura. The great city of Chandravati is the capital of this great demon Mura. Mura has driven out all the demigods from the heavenly planets. He is living there instead. So he's living in the heavenly planets instead of the demigods. He has taken over the posts of Indra, Agni, Yam, Vayu, Isha, Chandrama, Narita, and Varun, all by himself. So pretty powerful. All the demigods combined could not conquer him. O Lord Vishnu, please kill this demon and protect the demigods. On hearing the words of Indra, the Lord became very angry towards those who had harassed the demigods. And he said, O king of the demigods, I will personally kill this powerful demon who is your enemy. Now all of you should return to the city of Chandravati. Thereafter, all the demigods led by Lord Vishnu proceeded towards the city of Chandravati. On one side, the demigods were preparing for the battle with thousands of various weapons in their possession. On the other side, the demon Mura was roaring, surrounded by innumerable demon army. The demigods were already scattered due to the severe beating by the demons. But now, when the demons saw the rejuvenated, fearless demigods led by the Supreme Lord standing before them, the demons became extremely angry. Although the Lord easily defeated all the other demons, he felt difficulty in defeating the demon Mura. When, in spite of using various weapons, the Lord could not kill the demon Mura, he engaged in wrestling with the demon for 10,000 years. Finally, the Lord defeated the demon and left for Bhadrakrasham. In Bhadrakrasham, the Lord entered a beautiful cave called Hemavati, and he took rest. The Supreme Lord continued, O Arjun, thereafter, that demon chased me and entered that cave. On seeing me resting there, he decided to kill me. At that time, an effulgent daughter appeared from my body, and holding various divine weapons began to fight with the demon. After constantly fighting with the demon for a long time, the effulgent goddess finally severed his head. Then, out of fear, all the demons ran away to Patalok. When the Lord got up from his rest, he saw the dead body of the demon Mura lying in front of him, and an effulgent goddess humbly standing before him with folded hands. On seeing her, the Lord asked her in surprise, "Who are you?" The goddess replied, "Oh my Lord, I was born from your body and I have killed this demon. On seeing you lying down, this demon attempted to kill you. Therefore, I have killed him. The Supreme Lord said, O goddess, I am very pleased with you for this act. You can ask for any benediction you desire. When the goddess prayed for a benediction, the Lord said, you are my supreme energy, my spiritual energy. And since you have appeared on the day of Ekadashi, your name will be Ekadashi. Anyone who follows... I'm Siri. Pleased to meet anyone who will follow the vow of Ekadashi will be relieved from all sinful reactions and attain inexhaustible heavenly habits. So this is the Ekadashi that we are following. From that day onwards, the day of Ekadashi has been nourished and worshipped in this world, O Arjuna. I award the supreme destination to a person who observes the vow of Ekadashi. O son of Kunti, and Ekadashi mixed with Dwadasi is the highest. One should give up sex life, eating grains, honey, meat, eating on a bell betel plate, and applying oil on the day of Ekadashi. If a person observes this Ekadashi and hears its glories, he will attain even more results. So, this is Utpanna Ekadasi. Utpanna Ekadasi ki jai. Any questions on this Ekadashi? Anybody like to ask? Okay. Let's have a look at why we fast on Ekadashi. So what is Ekadashi in the first place? Eka means one, dash is 10. Ekadashi, it means 11. So it's a Sanskrit word for 11. It's the 11th day after the full moon day, Punima, and also the 11th day after the new moon day, Amavasya. Therefore, in every month, in a lunar month, there are 2 Ekadashis. One is in the waxing and one is in the waning phase of the moon. To determine Ekadashis, counted 11 days after the waning moon and 11 days after the new waxing moon. So, Srila Prabhupada would request devotees to fast on Ekadashi by avoiding eating grains and beans, anything made from them, or anything that has them in it. And this day is often referred to as the day of Lord Hari, day of Shri Hari. So fasting is important, but it is very important to also remember the Supreme Lord, Lord Hari, on this day. What's so special about Ekadashi? As we read in this pastime, there was a name given to this young damsel which appeared, manifested from the from the body of Lord Vishnu on the 11th day of the waning moon. According to this pastime, it took place in Satyayug, the first age. Very powerful demon was defeated by Ekadashi. So this demon was so powerful, even the Lord had difficulty defeating him. After the Lord defeated him, he went into a cave and he was asleep. While he was asleep, the Mura demon was going to come and was coming towards the Lord and with the intention to kill the Lord. At that time, this wonderful manifestation appeared from the Lord and killed that demon. So you can see the power of Ekadashi. Being pleased with her act of killing the demon, Lord Vishnu named her Ekadashi, granted her the wish that anyone who observes a fast on the day of the Ekadashi, which is both on the waning and the waxing moon, then he will be able to free himself from all sins and attain his transcendental abode. So this is why Ekadashi is very special, very prominent fast in the Vaishnav calendar. So there's other pastimes why one avoids grains on Ekadashi. So this one particular pastime is given in by Srila Vyasdev to Jaimini Rishi. So one time, Lord Vishnu created Papa Purush, who, that's Yamraj basically, who would punish sinful people. And one time, Lord Vishnu went to the abode of Yamraj and he heard the screams of the punished souls and he felt great compassion. And his compassion manifested as Ekadasi. And in this context, Ekadasi is a little different. It means, Eka means one and Dasi means servant. One servant, one of his servants. And this Ekadasi said that anyone who serves Vishnu by chanting his name on this day of Ekadasi, the day she was manifested, would be saved. And Vishnu granted that wish to that Ekadasi. Everyone started to chant Vishnu's name because that's how they were going to be freed from this world. And Yamraj was made redundant. He then complained to Lord Vishnu. When the days of Ekadasi comes, when people chant your name, they have liberated. So what shall I do? I am now redundant. So Vishnu, he wanted to keep everybody happy. So he said to Papa Purush that when the days of Ekadasi come, sin will enter into grains. So he will reside in, sins will reside in grains on the day of Ekadasi. So that's why, so when people eat grains on Ekadasi day, they're actually eating sin. So in that way, Papa Purush or Yamraj was somewhat satisfied. Fasting means upvas. There are two meanings of fasting, Ekadashi. There's the external meaning of fasting from grains and beans on the 11th day of the waxing and waning moon. And then there's the internal upvas, which means to get closer. Upvas means to get closer to the Lord Krishna, through our 11 senses. So 11 is significant. And this is Ekadashi Upvas. The idea is that we reduce our basic needs of eating and sleeping so that absorption in Krishna takes place, increases through the 11 senses. That includes the mind. 11 senses includes the mind. Prabhupada explains in the Nectar of Devotion, Ekadashi Vrit means to completely absorb oneself in Krishna consciousness. The basic principle is not just to fast, but to increase one's faith and love for Krishna. One should increase chanting and reading on Ekadasi. So what are the different types of fasting? There's the complete fast without water, every 2 weeks. And the fast means we have to be a little careful, because if we completely fast and we are thinking we are doing a great job by completely fasting, then actually we might be feasting feasting on our ego, or our ego is feasting. But actually the idea is that the soul gets nourished on devotional service. We feast on devotional service. So not having water as well, so fasting without water can build up acids in the body, which water can flush out. So can have regular slips of water. So if one cannot fast completely, one can have water. It's not a problem. And the example is of Ambarish Maharaj regarding taking water. It's Ambarish Maharaj, he had to complete his fast because he was fasting on this wonderful Ekadashi Vrit. But for some reason, he couldn't eat because he had received a guest and he didn't want to insult the guest by eating before the guest ate. So he consulted the Brahmins and he questioned them, how do I now, because the guests are busy at this moment, how do I complete my fast and yet at the same time not insult our guest? So they said to him, you can drink water. Drinking water is completing the fast, but at the same time, it is not eating. So if water and fruit juices are not enough to keep high energy levels for spiritual purposes, and one can take fruits, vegetables, and nuts. So the idea is not to fast and forget Krishna, is to fast and remember Krishna. That's the whole idea. So if one has to eat, then one can. Just avoid grains and beans. According to some Vaishnava traditions, not all vegetables even are suitable for fast, for Ekadashi. So this can get a little confusing. So it's best to keep a very simple diet on Ekadashi so that more time can be spent on spirituality. There are also some material benefits to fasting. So yes, we focus on the spiritual, but if we also want to continue to render service, it's also important to look after our bodies. And so by fasting, we actually help our material bodies stay fit as well. There's a Japanese cell biologist, Yoshinori Osumi, who actually won a Nobel Peace Prize in medicine in 2016 for his research on how the cells recycle within our body and they renew their content. And this process is called autophagy. Now, this fasting activates this autophagy, which helps slow down the aging process, has a positive impact on cell renewal, and that's associated with longevity. So this was already given in the Vedas a long time ago. Nothing new, but somebody puts a research paper and wins a Nobel Peace Prize for it. So scientists have found that fasting for 12 plus hours or 24 hours triggers this autophagy. And there's a large body of research that connects fasting with improved blood sugar control, reduced inflammation, weight loss, and improved brain function. So fasting is actually can lead to a lot of benefits. To increase longevity and also look young, scientific research discovered that calories intake needs to be reduced by 25%. And after extensive experiments, they determined this can be attained by fasting once in 2 weeks for 36 hours. And Ekadashi fasting is effectively like that. So one takes rest on the day before Ekadashi, maybe sleeps at 9 or 10. And then the fasting technically starts from sunrise on the day of Ekadashi until the sunrise the day after Ekadashi. So effectively, 9 o'clock in the evening, one night, then fasting all day, and then the next morning, sunrise, completing that fast is roughly 36 hours. So, well, if you sleep at 9 and you eat before 9, by every person, so this can be attained by every person who is between the age of 8 to 80. If you're too young, it's not recommended to fast. And if you're too old, it's not recommended to fast. Complete fast. Yeah, the complete fast, yeah. We are constantly eating. If we look at our daily consumption of food, I think we'll be very surprised. And we're making our stomachs work very hard to digest the food. Thus, to give the stomach a rest every couple of weeks is a good way to also detoxify the body. A break in eating every now and then can help us reduce weight of the body, help us become mentally strong, Now, the moon controls the mind. So fasting when the moon is very active on the 11th day will help us control the mind. Apparently, the moon is its most uh, strongest on the 11th day of the waning and the waxing moons. So apparently not eating on those days helps us a lot. Sins reside in grains on the 11th day. So this might be difficult for some people to accept and understand even, but that's what's been given in the scriptures. That's what we accept. Now we have to understand also when grains are cooked, the consciousness of the cook is transferred to the grains. So this happens whether it's Ekadashi or not. Hence why cooking is an art and it's an act of devotion as well. So when we cook as an act of devotion, then we are cooking basically in a spiritual mood, and that food becomes very potent. Now this moon, on the 11th day, this causing of the high and low tides is at its peak. And also the moon, as Krishna explains in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, moon gives a taste to the vegetables, right? So the maximum pull of this moon, and which creates these high tides, is on Dasami and up to Dwadasi. So the 11th day is the maximum. And apparently that causes more water to be retained in the body through grains, which is not flushed out. This impact is of the 11th day of the waning and waxing moon. And because 75% of our body consists of water, that's a good reason to avoid grains on the 11th day and not having too much water. So this is some sort of explanation of how fasting Ekadashi has got a scientific background to it. So there's some other points which we can just quickly mention. Shouldn't fast on Dasami. So sometimes part of the day may be Dasami. So that day we avoid fasting. It should be a pure Ekadashi, Shuddha Ekadashi. Or if the Ekadashi goes into the next day, then that is Dwadasi. And that is also fine to fast on Dwadasi. The fast should be completed on the day after Ekadashi with water, if you're doing Nirjala. Or if one has had water, then one can have fruits. If one has had fruits and vegetables, one should finish the fast with grains. And usually it's done within a certain time period, so that the benefit of the fasting is attained by the observer of the fast. And that depends on the muhurats, the auspicious times of finishing the fast. Sometimes there are differences of when devotees of other groups fast. So sometimes the Shaivites usually fast the day before the Vaishnavas. But we follow the moon timings of the local area. And how important Ekadashi is illustrated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He observed that his mother was not fasting on Ekadashi, and he requested her, please do the fasts on Ekadashi. Full fasting gives the full benefits. Eating once in the evening gives half benefits, like that. So there are some foods allowed for Ekadashi. All fruits, dried and fresh, all nuts, oils made from nuts or coconuts, olives, potato, sweet potato, pumpkin, cucumber, radishes, squash, lemon, avocado, olives, coconut, buckwheat, sugar, black pepper, fresh salt. I think gore is perhaps a little tricky because sometimes there's some grains mixed with it. fresh salt, and I think this is rock salt, sindan,
Sindan.
turmeric. These are all fine. So ideally, you want to keep
Fresh
to
turmeric.
yeah, turmeric, fresh turmeric. Ideally, you want to keep to a very simple diet on Ekadashi, so that we don't make any mistakes of breaking the Ekadashi by accident. So that's the pastime of Ekadashi. Oh, and the reasons why we fast on Ekadashi. Anybody like to ask any questions or any contributions that you'd like to give? Any experiences you've had whilst performing Ekadashi?
Very well.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, it's Madhusudan here. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Ekadashi is good time actually. When we devoting some time towards not eating certain foods, and when you cover some sections here in the video about how vegetables get their flavors from the moon, and then just certain times of the year when the grains are more stronger and under the influence. And I was looking at years ago, I came across this, and I might have mentioned this before as well. But if you go and Google water crystal experiments, what was the name of Japanese scientist? You mentioned something about vegetable in
Yes.
slides. I was looking at, there was a guy called Masuro Imoto.
Mhm.
And if you look at his work done with water crystals, it's amazing actually. I don't know if you come across that before.
Yeah, I think you did mention it one time. Some amazing patterns, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did experiments. So even if you grow crystals with the thought of thank you, the water crystals gets formed differently. Then if you have thoughts like I hate you, the water crystals are different. And they're very, I mean, you can see, or if you Google, and you'll see all these different kind of experiments that this Japanese guy has done. And also there are many people, other people have done experiments like that. And then they see the crystals, the crystalline structure. So our body is actually 90% or 75% water, in fact. When we have these kind of thoughts, the water gets affected by itself. So if it's just water, then you can see how other stuff as well, which is affected by water controls, dissolves salt. So there's another experiment somebody done with salt crystals with water in it as well. And like, I think I was looking at this and it said, which is, yeah, water has memory, says Dr. Masuro Imoto. And then they're disgusting or love or evil, and the water crystals are formed differently whenever you give this sort of thought. So it's good when we go in the temple and then, when they sprinkle water after the water has been offered to the Supreme Lord. And that's just to purify. And it actually does have an impact on the people that gets the water on their forehead, and we sprinkle water to purify after certain incidents, like going to a funeral or that. We come back and they sprinkle water on people. So that purifies, so it is actually, so there are hidden, you just have to say Masaru Imoto, that's his name, and water consciousness. So if something like water does have that kind of consciousness in its formation of crystals when it's forming, so you can see, thoughts and emotions and intentions have real impact on molecules and foodstuffs and on our body and everything as well. So when we're doing Ekadashi and we're fasting, when we're offering food and we're eating prasad, that's why, when you mentioned earlier about how consciousness gets affected, but the cook's consciousness, if he's thinking very evilly, I mean, like, for example, there are some rumors about, people, certain culture people, they spit on the food before they offer you. They said this is halal or something, and so I've heard these sort of things before, that to the non kind of so-called kafirs, they feed food with bad intentions and all that. So yeah, it's got to be careful where we eat and how we eat and whose consciousness, I guess, affected. But we might not believe some of these things, but there's quite a bit of scientific things on it. So Google it and see what impact our emotions and thoughts and all these intentions have on water molecules. Thank you, Haribo.
Thank you for sharing that. Very interesting. Okay, Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Otherwise, we can stop and